Prepared to let's get started. All right, so welcome into the session. And of course, we are on the project today again, part two of the NEBOSH National General Certificate syllabus anyway, right? So remember, the NG2, the second textbook, is sort of meant to do this project. Those of us who have it, you could sort of get it anyway, right? I think there's one thing on the chat, something with the learning contract. There's just a NEBOSH requirement, right? So you all fill it out and send it in anyway. I think it's a simple document anyway, right? I guess we should start, right? So where we left it last night, we had looked at part one, we looked at part two, and we were saying that the project guidance, then this particular document is the main document, right? To do your project anyway. So once you fill this out, everything should be okay. Let me leave our faces there because people are coming in a bit late. If I put you on that side, it tends to block the people that are coming in. They zoom by anyway, right? So once you follow this, you should go okay. I would not repeat last night's class. It was just last night anyway. Plus, like I said, there are multiple videos on YouTube. You could just, I mean, many of you have subscribed already to the YouTube channel, right? And you can just plug in Shadrach Safety Institute, their project part one, project part two. And there are many versions and over the last 5 years anyway, right? And soon again, when this is finished, when part one, part two is finished, we would upload it for you all anyway, right? And so we had look, I think we are somewhere here. We are on the project table. I left it at the first column last night. So I think what we picked up from that was that you have to use the hazards from the table here. And we are on sort of column one where you would leave the hazards category, right? And then you'd also put in the hazard themselves anyway, right? So I guess we could take it from there. Anybody have any questions on that? That's where we left it last night. I think we did explain that at length last night, right? I wouldn't even bother go back there because, like I said, it was just last night anyway. So we could take it to column two, unless if you all have a concern. Anybody had any questions on column one? And they do have a replica of it here as well, but we would sort of use the sample there, right? But this is almost the same thing. Hazard category vibration. Can you use vibration? Can you use vibration? The answer here would be yes, because vibration is here. Can you also use, well, I mean, they didn't really have anything else, but you have to give you an example of what is causing vibration, right? Sanding and grinding activities, that is what is causing the vibration to the hand there anyway, right? Any questions on that? And if not, we'll go straight into column two. Anyone? All right, so let's get to column two. So column two is I think I was saying last night that some of these things have two things in them. For example, column one was asking what is the hazard and what is the hazard category. So there are two things here. The hazardous substances is the hazard category, and the hazard is dust, high concentration of processed dust, right? So the second column also has that approach. They're asking you two things: who could be harmed and how, right? Who could be harmed and how. So with respect to the who, we have all workers, customers, and others visiting the organization. Just to be honest, they don't really like that too much. What is best is you put the position of the workers then, right? So who could be harmed? Like shop floor workers, HSE officers, supervisor, technician, right? So it's best to sort of write it out. And for that purpose, you should have written it out there. And then how is like how is like an explanation of Well, how? I mean, there's not a way to say, but like how the dust could affect the workers, right? So how is like a description, in fact, how is not really short of an answer then. How is like a description of how the dust could actually affect the workers, right? So they have here high concentration, let us change the marker back. High concentration of processed dust are always present from the routine and frequent activities being carried out. Since there is no dust extraction, people breathe in the hazardous dust, which can cause anything from short-term irritation to long-term serious health conditions. People can also get the irritant dust on their skin, which can cause dermatitis in their eyes, causing eye irritation, a damage or even accidentally swallow it, hand to mouth transfer from contaminated hands, right? Now, it doesn't have to be that long, but I guess that is how this one is, that the how is an explanation of like what you said then, like how could that affect the workers anyway, right? So I think maybe one from last night I was using with Bakewell. I trying to remember was the hazard I'd taken, right? But I suppose if I had taken something like mental ill health, so that would have been the hazardous category. The hazard I think I said last it was like one cashier was seeing prepping meals as well as um retrieving pastries as well as cashing as well as serving customers in the dining area, right? So that would have been here, right? So that would have been here. But for the description, you could probably say something almost similar to that. You can say, there's often, and I'm just making this up, it doesn't always have to be the case. This is just a makeshift scenario anyway, right? That in the event that a worker or the bakery is short staff, right? Then the same worker is expected to cash, retrieve baking items, as well as prep meals and prepare meals, as well as serve customers, right? So you can say this could lead to stress, this could lead to fatigue, this could lead to uh, excessive job pressures on the person, right? Which may result in um, but we say mental ill health, right? So it may result in things like depression or fatigue or tiredness or whatever have you, right? So you sort of discuss the how, right? So the who is easy. The who is like the technician, the chef, the baker, the HSC officer, the supervisor, but the how is a bit longer anyway. Let's have a look at that second column and see if you're okay with it. That's the second one. It doesn't have to always be that long. Because if you scroll down, you'll notice that some of them are short, but the better you can explain it, the better it is, right? Like if I think we had used last night to slips and trips in the office. And if we had something like the accords, passing along the part of workers in the office. So who can be harmed? You'll have, like if it was the school, so the principal, the coordinators, the students. But then the how, right? The how will have to be an explanation. You have to say, well, um, staff and students may not always be attentive to where they are placing their feet. These cords are often across the pathway of the corridor, which is not the case. I'm just making that up, right? They really do have any cords here, just making something up. Um, Workers and staff or staff and students' feet may be entangled or get caught in the cord, resulting in a slip injury as well as a fall. This may result in bruises, um, embarrassment, fractures, broken bones, etc. Right? But it is an explanation. So that's how it kind of is longer than like column two. If you look at it, column two is longer than column one and column three. See if you have any questions, then let me know. Right. And remember, just in case we missed it, I know we said it last night, you need to get 10 hazards, right? So like 10 hazardous substances, 10 categories then, right? Hazardous substances, just one. You could go to 11, you could go to 12, but 10 is the expected amount anyway. If you give less than 10, you would not pass as because the requirement had said, we go back to it, you'll see it here, just need to change the marker, but the requirement had said you would need a minimum of 10 hazards, or at least 10 hazards, right? And the word at least means more than. So you could give more than 10, but you cannot give less than 10, right? You can give more than 10, but you cannot give less than 10. Tell me what you think. We on to the third column. It's not very hard enough. I mean, the project, like I said, it's a bit if you put your mind to it, you'll finish in a couple of hours. But you finish in one day if you put your mind to it. Eventually people don't do that anyway. People leave it for last. But it ends up being one day anyway that you'll finish it in one day once you put your mind to it anyway. Any questions on column two? Let me just drink some water on this side here.
No questions at this time.
Okay, thanks very much. All right, column three is also very easy. Well, I mean, column two is actually harder than column three. Column three is what are you already doing? And one or two controls is good enough here, right? Like one or two is good enough, right? But there's a little catch in column three. Let me grab the marker. Column three must be written in past tense or present tense because it is what are you already doing. Some students mix this up and they put things like, like dust mask should be available, but that's wrong because should be is future tense, right? If you read this one, it says dust mask available. So which is present tense, right? So the catch with the third column, it must be written in, I'll just put past here. You can put it in past tense too. You can say dust masks are available, right? It's because it's what are you already doing? Past or present tense is the third column. And two or three controls is good enough there. There's actually just one more catch with column three. Past or present tense is good enough. Nothing here then should be uh, recommendations then, like it should be done. Should be done is the fourth column, right? With the third column. So past or present tense is the first kind of hint here for column three. For column, no, not column four, column three still. The other catch is this. The other catch is that column three is written in a way that like it's not adequate, right? Column three is written in a way that it's not perfect. Column three is written in a way that it's setting up column four for further controls, right? So we can put here column three is written in a way or in a way that it is inadequate.
Basically, we're saying is leave room for improvement.
Yeah, yeah. So anything you say in column three, you're going to have to kind of shoot it down, right? Like say it's not good enough. Like if you read this one, you'll see it like, well, first of all, dilute ventilation, right? If you're not too sure what that is. Dilute ventilation is just opening the windows and the doors. So in a way, that's not good enough for high concentration of processed dust. So the very concept of dilute ventilation is not good enough or inadequate. But if you read the second one, you kind of pick it up on that one. They say dust mask available, right? But what's the next word after available? Dust mask available. What was the word after that?
But
But. But it is not mandatory that these are worn. So you kind of said something, but you kind of shut it down there, right? Like if I was saying, I guess the one in the bakery, right? We can say like two workers are rostered to work every shift. But in the event of sickness or an emergency, there isn't a backup person. So you say two person was rostered, but if something happened, like somebody called in sick, there isn't a backup plan there. So there's always that kind of but. Now, I mean, you could use the word inadequate too. Some people use, I'll show some words. Some people use the words not good enough, um, inadequate, insufficient, but, right? Like the one with the makeup scenario with the office, we can say, staff and students are warned. I think I used this one already for you. Staff and students are warned of the trailing cable, but there is no signage to remind them that there are cables across the walk path. Right? If you take another one, that might not be the best. And if you take some like slips and trips and you say, um, like there was water on the ground, the immediate controls could have been like the
I did.
custodian. Sorry, yeah, sorry, go ahead. Question, comment.
It's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying like if there was water on the ground, the controls could have been the custodian normally mops up on a regular basis. But if it is out of hours, the floor doesn't get mopped up till the following day, right? So it's always setting up that fourth column then for the further controls, right? If you understand that, then 1, 2, or 3 is good enough in the third column, that is fine. We can move to the fourth column anyway. All right, fourth column. So the fourth column is perhaps one of the most important column, as you can probably tell. I mean, but all of them important because remember the project, water went on the wrong way. I think the project doesn't have a pass mark that it really have the fact that you complete all these sections. So if you forget 6 months in column 5, that is as bad as not doing column 4, right? So it's just that column 4 in terms of content, column 4 may take a longer time to do than column 6 or 5 or even 1, right? Column 4 takes a bit longer anyway. So let's go to that one, column 4. So what you'll see with this one, just trying to find some points. So the points here would be column 4 is written in future tense. If you read it, you'll see things like to be, right? Uh, things like should be, right? Should be set up, to be set up, to be developed, should be developed. Trading should be done, right? So column 4 is written in future tense. You could write that for yourself. Um, some of the more important ones, I mean, and all of them important, some of the more important ones is that column 4, trying to move this out anyway, column 4 has about 5 controls in it. Like each hazard has about 5, at
The
least 5
requirement is
further
5.
controls. Yeah, but at least 5 further controls. So like 5 to 8 sometimes even more. But you are required to have about 5 controls for each hazard in column 4, right? 5 to 8 controls. I'll tell you what we get in a bit, right? So 5 to 8 controls. Again, who they are telling you, and I haven't really, you know, I guess whenever we start teaching, right? But 5 to 8 controls. Um, some other things about column 4 is that it must solve the problem. So it's not just to put any controls, but the controls must solve the problem that we have. So if it's high concentration of process dust, these controls must address that. Like you can't just say training in like something that wasn't fitting in, like training probably in manual handling. But that doesn't fit into this because there's high concentration of process dust, right? So some students struggle to get the 5, but the 5 is very easy because the 5 comes from you. The 5 is really like common sense then, right? So if there's high concentration of dust, you'll want to enclose the area. That's a good control. Dust mask is a good control. Face mask, right? Maintenance, all of these are good controls, right? So you'll have to think about practical then like how to solve the problem, right? In the hazard that you created anyway, right? So take a note of that, right? 5 to 8 controls. The controls must solve the problem. They must be practical. And there's something here that NEBOSH requires. I'm going to go straight into that. One of the things they require you to do, they require you to match this up here to the hierarchy of control, which is not in this sample, right? But the hierarchy, like if I say enclosed area to be set up for sanding and grinding, this could fall under engineering control, right? So engineering control. You can find the hierarchy in your book. Not too sure if you want to try to look for it. Chapter 3, right? Engineering
We go,
controls.
sorry. Will we go into further explanation for the hierarchy of controls? Like,
No,
will
you
we
just have to put
talk?
the word. You just have to kind of like put the word there, engineering control. So it's a kind of match up, right? So purchase of an on-tool dust extraction system. This may be elimination, right? It's kind of like a match. They can match it up by putting it at the end, like how I am doing here, eliminate, or you can actually incorporate the word into the sentence. So you can say something like, dust could be eliminated by purchasing an on-tool dust extraction system. Use of face mask in conjunction with extraction system, that would be PPE, but you can say use of PPE such as face mask. So try to incorporate the hierarchy words then, right? Current dilution system to be inspected and repaired if necessary. This may be an administrative control, admin control. So once you match them up, you should be fine. And actually, that's why they ask for 5, because the hierarchy of control is actually 5 elements, right? Eliminate, substitute, engineering controls, administrative controls, PPE. You can find it in chapter 3. Last one here, maintenance, but we're not really last one because there's have like 13 controls in it, right? But you really don't need 13, you need about 5 in it. So maintenance program for all ventilation systems. This could also be administrative control. Yes, you could double them up. You could have more than one PPE. You don't have to have all in one. Once there's the effort to match it back to the hierarchy of control, everything should be fine for you. Administrative control. Right? I have 2 hints to give you. When you finish writing these things and 5 to 8 controls, solve the problem, match it to the hierarchy of control. We could probably look at the guidance while you're writing. If you go to column 4, you'll see it. Column 4 actually mentions you need to put in the hierarchy. Right? So back to the guidance here, you'll see if you read column 4, which is here, what further controls or actions might be needed? Column 4, remember, you must take account of the hierarchy of controls and the principles of prevention. But the hierarchy and the principles is the same thing anyway. The words are just different. At level 3, most people look for the hierarchy of control. Level 6, they talk about the principles of prevention. It's the same thing anyway. Like when the hierarchy says eliminate, the principles of prevention says avoid. When the hierarchy says substitute, the principles of prevention says replace. It's the same word, right? But most examiners have seen them making mention of the hierarchy of control for column 4 anyway. Just gonna try to line this back up here now, right? I'm not too sure how we had it before. I'll have to take it off anyway, right? But all of this here was a column 4. Oh, sorry, that wasn't it. That's the wrong chart. This is the one here. So it's supposed to line up with this one. Kind of way. That's the best I could get it back anyway, right? So that's column 4. Let me give you the hints for column 4. I may need to take this off, see if you have any questions where that is concerned. So some hints of column 4, if you wonder what I mean by hint, like where do you get those controls from, right? So where do you get these controls from, right? So there's some answers to that. I'll put them up here. So some of the, like if you're thinking about your controls, um, some of the places to get the controls from is some you, right? Like if you said, like if you said that there was a trailing cable across the doorway, well, the obvious first further control is to remove it, right? The obvious first control is remove the cable from across the doorway, right? If you said, let me use one I haven't used in a long time. If you said vehicle movement, right? Movement of pedestrians and vehicles, right? And, like vehicles are moving and workers are walking across the walk path at the same time. So one of the first things to do is to stop that, right? One of the first things to do is like you can probably say like workers should be stopped from crossing the workshop floor where the forklifts are driving by, right? And a designated area should be set up. So the further controls then come from you, right? I'm gonna try to give you one. If the hazard category was manual handling, and you said that two workers were moving, let's say a heavy piece of equipment by hand, right? What is already being done? I think from last time we said you could say these workers were first given an orientation when they joined the company, but that's not good enough. You can say that is not sufficient for manual handling. So then what could be a further control? If you saw two workers straight in moving a heavy piece of equipment by hand, what could be a further control? Anybody? If you saw two persons straight in moving something by hand heavy, like what is a further control?
Body system?
Right. So like I mean obviously like you can tell them like the first control maybe these workers should be stopped and an additional worker should be added on or two more workers added on. So the body system can probably work. You can probably say that the workers, like should be stopped and a mechanical aid should be sought after if there is like a wheelbarrow or a pallet jack, if you all know what those things are, or a trolley, which everybody knows what a trolley is, right? So that's why the controls come from you then, right? So that's what I'm saying is like, we can talk about training and proper PPE and supervision and stuff. So look how much is that. If we say trolley jack, if we say body system, if we say training, if we say supervision, if we say JSA, that's 5 already. But I'm gonna give you more hints because I said it have a couple of hints where the answer is coming from. So you are the answer, but it have other hints, right? So let's take another one down. So another hint here, and a very good one, is your second textbook. Yes, remember you do have a second textbook. You paid for it as far as I know, and I think you all have it from the new guy now. Well, we sent it across to them, right? And so the point of contact there, which is Miss Barbara would have given you those books anyway, right? We purchased those books for you all with the monies that you all paid anyway, right? Hopefully, right? And so your second textbook, I say hopefully because that's another story, right? But the second textbook, wherever you have it, probably dust it off a bit, right? If anybody have it with them, well, you might not have it with you. I have mine on the work table on that side, right? But if anybody have it around, could you tell me what's the name of it? Now, it's not as if I don't know the name of it. I want you to tell me what's the name of it. What's the name of the second textbook? Try to remember what you saw on it. I'll give you a clue. It's just two words. What's the name of the second textbook?
Risk assessment.
And what is this we are doing here?
A
What is
risk
this project? A
assessment.
risk assessment. So the second book is actually meant to do the RA on. right? And if I can tell you this, I don't know how much you always listen and how much you really absorb. But before the pandemic, right, the name of that book was actually Controlling, watch it, Controlling Workplace Hazards. That was the name of that book. For decades, well, I was in decades. I mean, I've been in NEBOSH going in 14, 15 years now, right? But I think even before my time, they used to say paper one, paper two at one point in time. But still, even if they say paper one, paper two, it had a book and the book had a name. And the name of it was Controlling Workplace Hazards. So in reality, I'm not too sure if you have ever opened the book, right? So we use it for the project. If you open it for fire, every chapter you'll see fire, you'll see manual handling, you'll see psychological hazards, right? You'll see noise. But when the approach of the textbook is like when they tell you what is noise and talk about the law for noise and talk about manual handling, we have actually done some like for construction, right? We have done one or two of them anyway. Um, when you look at the hazard then for noise and you turn the pages, what you're going to see is control for noise because that was the name of the book. When you see manual handling, they will tell you what is manual handling. They will say manual handling is use of bodily force, the law for manual handling, how to do a manual handling risk assessment, something called a tile risk assessment. And then you will see the control for manual handling. So it's that easy. I'm not too sure if you're getting that, right? Again, before the pandemic, students could have never used a book for the project. The project was an exam, still is an exam. That's what they marking it like how they marking it now. Because you all have all this freedom, you need to get everything correct, right? Because before the pandemic, students had to memorize the laws, memorize the hazard, think of your controls. No, you could open the book and you could see the controls. Of course, don't plagiarize. We spoke about plagiarism yesterday, I think, right? Don't plagiarize. If you read, I mean, some things you can change, like from manual handling. If they say do a tile risk assessment, tile, TILE. It stands for task, individual, load, environment. Well, you can't change that. You can't say tile another way. I could say it another way, but you all can't. Like, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I left my icon.
Yeah, no problem. Like at the higher levels, they kind of switch around the letters of tile. Tile stands for task, task, individual, load, environment. But like in some levels, they switch it around and they make another acronym called LITE, LITE, which is kind of they switch around the letters, right? TILE. So LITE. You can say it another way, but the point is, like that one, you're gonna have to take that one from what the book have it, right? And I mean, some things if you read noise and you look at noise, and they talk about noise barriers, noise enclosures, you can't really change it either. You could put it in your own company. You can say at XYZ construction, the generators should be enclosed with a noise barrier, such as plywood or plyboard or styrofoam material. So you cannot make it your own, but you really got the idea from the textbook, right? So like we do have a Trinidad counterpart class to you all, right? And well, you all are writing an exam on the same time, which is October anyway, right? But like I did this for them, they did it Saturday, so you all do it Monday, but then you all in front of them because you remember we see you all Tuesday now, so they didn't have the second pieces yet, right? But like I saw somebody hand up one this week. I mean, today's only Tuesday, but they had theirs on Saturday, right? So it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So, and I saw two controls, and I was like, so like, you all don't make notes when we say five controls. You all don't listen back the recording and even read the guidance. The guidance said 10, but 10 hazards, right? I mean, 10 hazards. But like here now, when we spoke about having five controls, like how could you just put two, right? Now, when you put two, the UK examiners does say it's insufficient. Because remember, the hierarchy is five. Eliminate, you mightn't get substitute, but you may get two on admin. You may say trainer, and you may say supervision, that's also admin, right? but you need about 5 to 8, and you'll be safe if you put more on. What I'm trying to tell you is the second book have it, and you really don't have to brainstorm nothing. You can just read the book and put it back into your own thing, and you should be safe. You already have no excuse to fail the project other than not listening and then forgetting, or listening and not making notes, right? So, and then if you do that, well, then I said before, I have many videos on YouTube that actually covers this, right? They're not all that bad. I've been seeing some of them getting 6,000 views, 7,000 views. Some of them that now posted get less, of course. But the point is, it is not Trinidadians or Guyanese looking at this. It means that people worldwide looking at these videos. So there must be something in them, right? I mean, it's not Hollywood. I said that last night. It's not entertaining. I don't sing and dance for my supper anyways. Teach, at least for now. I don't know if I have to sing and dance, but at least for now, that's teaching anyway. There are many things people do to get monies anyway, and many creative ways to put across safety. But singing and dancing right now, dancing I could do, but not really for NEBOSH anyway. Maybe when I'm retired, I'll take a
Try
different
dancing
approach.
and manual handling
Yeah.
action.
Well, Cassie knows I like dancing. I like certain types of dances anyway that I could do. Sure, you'll probably figure that out if you all know me well enough, right? Um, but what I say now, like for now, the videos are not that entertaining, but they're getting a good number of views, and it means content-wise, there must be something in them. So please, if you forget, just go on YouTube, just put Shadrach Safety Project Part 1, you'll get videos, and yours will go up probably by tomorrow because tomorrow is Wednesday. Remember, I normally put them up on a Wednesday once the Monday, Tuesday thing is finished anyway, right? So that's the good news. Let's go to column 5 and column 6, which is very easy. The good news is you and your textbook. I actually had more hints in it, but I don't feel you need more. Like another one would have just been Google as well, and you could just Google your controls. But then you have a book, so that's like too much, and you only need about 5 anyway. And then you yourself could just think of 3 or 4. Like if somebody said it, I mean, I could do another. Somebody said violence at work, right? And they say, what are you already doing? You say, well, there is a security guard on site. But he is not an armed security, right? So then the further controls, you can start up there by saying additional security guard should be hired, right? Security guard should be precepted with a firearm. So that's 2. Then you say the area should be properly lit. Then you say like maybe there should be panic alarms or maybe frequent contact with the home base. That's 4 without even going to the textbook. So I don't really see it being difficult, right? If you say violence at work or some sort of trespass, you can put like the perimeter should be well secured with a lock and key, right? That's 5 without even going to the textbook. So I really don't know how people can just put 2. Anyway, the 5th column, let me kind of pull this to that side. I cleaned in this slide, right? But I think I did that anyway. So 5th and 6th is very easy, but there's a little catch in them. So let's kind of do them and we'll see the catch, right? I think that was it. That's as far as we could go. But I guess our faces could go to the top there. All right. So time scale for further actions to be completed. I'm trying to see how to make it hard, but it's not hard. All right. So the time scale, the only catch with the time scale is that the time scale must be in number. Yes, it must be a number. It cannot be a word. So 6 months is correct. So here what I just put in the thing, right? It must be a number. It cannot be in words. If you wonder what do I mean? What do I mean it cannot be words? Right? Well, in the real world, we sometimes use words here, but they don't want that for the exam. They want you to leave it as a number. Right? So let me give you some words that people use, but please remember this is what not to do. So here what I'm not writing it. Because I feel if I write it, you'll get the idea that you have to do it like that. So I just wrote the word number there. It must be a number, right? So just two examples of what not to do is some people put words like ongoing. Well, ongoing is not a number, so that would be incorrect or wrong. Some people put a time scale like immediate. Immediate is not a number, so immediate is wrong. The time scale must be a number. It must be like, okay, like what you're seeing here, 6 months, 1 month, 1 month, 6 months, 1 month, 6 months. That's correct, right? The minute you think about putting words there, just cross that out of your mind one time and just leave it as a number. 1 week, yes. 1 day, yes. 2 days, yes. 2 weeks, yes. The number is there. It's not words then like well, I mean, I'm trying to think of another one. Trying to think of another one beside immediate and ongoing. Oh, another one, to be implemented. No, that's wrong. Because like that's words to be implemented. That's wrong. It must be a number. Tell me if you're okay with that. In case of doubt, put a number. 4 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 month, which is 4 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, put the number. Don't put anything that is vague, right? The requirement here is that it must be a specific time scale. Specific means a number, right? And if you wrote the word number down with it, then there's nobody should be getting that wrong, right? The sixth column, again, there's nothing hard here. Anybody will do for there, but you must put the person's position, and the person must be okay. Like you should have mentioned that person in part one. Like if you look through here, like do you all remember seeing finance director in part one? Do you all remember seeing I spoke to the workshop manager that was in part one, right? So like if you go back, let me go back and show you because we have the time. Like if you look here, right, they say here, the finance director who reports directly to the managing director. So we expect to see these same people back in column 6, right? So like how you get it wrong is like if you said the CEO, I think we used this last week, right? Or last night, sorry, last night for you all. If you say the CEO, Miss Jane, has direct responsibility for health and safety, but when we watch here, Miss Jane, the CEO, we are seeing nothing with the CEO here. So the CEO are doing nothing there, right? The CEO are signing off on nothing to purchase, especially purchasing, right? If you said it was the store owner, Mr. James Mitchell, right? Well, we expect to see store owner here, right? So that's one catch. And it's not really a catch, it's just put somebody there, of course, that is in your company. The other thing that students do, some people try to I didn't lock the door in front. But you all know I'm in the school by myself, right? So looking at the secure, last night I locked the door in front. Tonight I was feeling lazy. So the doors to the front of the building open. So I just heard something. Not too sure. Anyway, yeah, yeah, this part of Trinidad kind of safe. Kind of no way in Trinidad is safe though, but it's kind of safe in this part of Trinidad, the second city anyway, right? Um, yeah, so what was I saying? Like the other catch is that some people try to kind of save. I don't know what they save, like they save typing time, but like how somebody would have put workshop manager here. Some people just put like the semicolon, but that's wrong. You know, they like the semicolon, that sort of thing. That's wrong. So if you had to repeat yourself, repeat yourself. Just copy it and paste it. Workshop manager, watch here. Workshop manager, workshop manager, workshop manager. Right? So as much workshop manager, as much as it is, put it back. It may seem redundant, but put it back, right? Workshop manager, workshop manager. So for you, if the purchasing was by the CEO, the inspection was by the health and safety, the supervision was by the, let's put it back, health and safety, health and safety, health and safety. And that's the sixth column. Nothing to be worried about. But if you take the shortcut, they will feed you for that. Because again, like I said, it's too easy. And the requirement now is that you just fill it out like a checklist. And once you have it, you pass. Once you don't have it, you wouldn't pass, right? Hopefully you all decide to share with us a draft. And we would have a look at it when we get, the time anyway, right? That's the array table is actually finished. The array table is actually finished. What I'll do, I'm gonna kind of just take a minute here and lock the door to the front. Yeah, even though it's safe, but as also to be I guess prevention is better than cure, right? I'm gonna lock the door. That's the door to the main building, right? So that'll take me just about 30 seconds just to walk out to the main corridor, right? And to lock that one. And think about if you have any questions when we come back, we're gonna get into part 3 of the project. Okay, so I'm back. Um, any questions on that part so far? Any questions on your table? Of course, the catch is that you have to do this now 9 other times, right? So you have to um do another row, right? Do another row, right? Do another row, etc. Right? So you want to do it about 9 times, right? Any questions, folks? We can get into part 3. Now, I think I said last night there's something's wrong with this sample. I don't think I want to point out every single thing to you. I think if you follow my instructions, you would not make the mistakes the sample have. I'm not too sure if I pointed this one out to you. I think we did. I think we did. I think we saw what was wrong with this. This they have here, work equipment, but that's really not the name of the hazard. If you go back on the guidance, which is what I'm just sharing with you all now on the guidance, the hazard is actually not work equipment, but it's actually work equipment and machinery. Yeah, so something as small as that, they can fail you for that. Because you see, it's right in front here, you see. The project is really, to be honest, the pass the project, it's kind of more like following instructions rather than doing your own thing. A lot of people, so that's why it's not truly content driven then. I'm not too sure if you get that. The project to pass it. And so that's why yesterday you was asking about permission to get companies and stuff, or to go to companies. And I said, in reality, the project is not really reality. The project is kind of made up, right? And Like you may not really have machinery in your compound, you may have work equipment, but the hazard is work equipment and machinery. So you cannot leave out the machinery, right? So I think, like I said, I could go through and show where all the mistakes are at. But to me, if you follow the instruction, which was to use that sheet I just showed you there, you should not make these mistakes then. Some students do. Some students say, like we would tell them, so why did you put work equipment? And they say, well, sir, we see it in the sample. But then I say, remember, the sample have good and bad things in it. Beyond the sample is the guidance. The main document is really the guidance, which is not the sample. So I think if you follow the guidance, which clearly says, watch it here again, the hazard is work equipment and machinery, then I don't need to pinpoint where on the sample and have wrong things because we would have said we have the right things. And if you follow we have the right things, then you would avoid we have the wrong things anyway, like work equipment. Well, of course, this is one here. This is one that a lot of students get confused with and they say, well, they saw it on the sample, but the sample is not the guide. The guide is the guide. The sample is just an example for you to follow, right? Anyway, other than this here, I think this is a fairly good sample. You have one or two things that are off again in it. Like this is off. I think I told you that NA, nobody should really be doing that, especially for an assessment anyway, right? A lot of people use that as a cop out then, like an easy way out, but they don't really accept this anymore. Like you need to fill these things out, right? So that's another thing that may be wrong there. But like I said, it's not about pinpointing all the wrongs. If you follow what to do, then you should not have those same mistakes anyway. Let's get to part three. So yeah, so all of this is part two. You see how long it is? But what makes it this long is the fourth column, like filling out the fourth column is what makes it that long anyway. And the second column, right? All right, part three, we're gonna jump straight into it. I will give an overview first and then we can start. Now, the truth is I don't need the overview because you might forget that. You might forget what it is I'm trying to tell you, right? And you may just look back at the sample anyway, right? But the overview of part three is that there are two separate things happening here in part three. Like the first part of part three is like it have more than one things happening here. So I think we could probably just do the first thing and looking at the time. I don't know if I'll be able to finish the second part of it, but I can finish the first part of part three. So you can say part three have two parts then, or two sections, and the first section have really nothing to do with the second section. The first section finishes right here. That's the first part of part three. And the second part of part three starts here, which have nothing to do with that writing on top there. So in a way, maybe this could have been renamed part four or something. But I mean, I'm not NEBOSH. I'm just saying what it is. Part three have two parts there. And the first part really doesn't really flow into the second part. It's just a standalone, right? So what is that? Let me just grab back the marker if I don't have it. Do I have it? Not too sure if I have the marker. No. So I think I'll put back our faces to the side here. So the first piece of part three, if you look here, what you're doing, you are writing a moral paragraph on why health and safety should be managed. That's this one here. Paragraph or two. Next thing you want to write is a legal, however, this sample, they did financial. It doesn't really matter which one you do second or third. Once you cover all three, right? So legal, I think, is down here, right? So you do a legal sort of argument why health and safety should be managed. And then finally, or in this case here, secondly, you write a financial argument why health and safety should be managed, right? So let's kind of go into this. I'll kind of dissect it a bit.
Shadrach,
Hmm?
one question on this.
Oh,
These arguments are in relation to the company, correct? Or is it generalization and the whole?
That's a good question. Um,
So these arguments must be based on the company and the company situation.
I, to be honest, I think I can mention the company name, but if you look at this, it is like a general argument. Like, okay, morally then, right? For those who remember moral meant like you do manage health and safety because it's the right thing to do. So they'll be made mention of the company like NGG Limited as a moral duty to protect all workers. Our workers come to work to earn a wage, but in a way it still is general because they are still talking about, like workers then, but it's just like generalized. But you do have to tie it in into the company. So I think there is a tie into the company. Um, but it's not that in depth then. So like there's like 3, 4 paragraph is enough. So to say you're doing a detailed analysis of the legal requirements of your company, it's really not that. It's just like you're just saying the employers have a legal duty under the HSW Act, Section 22A, to provide safe access, safe plan, safe systems of work. So in a way, it's kind of surface level, but you're still mentioning your company. So I don't think it's a detailed analysis or argument because it's like a paragraph long. This is moral here, this piece here, right? This is financial here. So that's not too long. This is legal, right? So I don't know how to answer that question. I think there is a tie into the question, but it's not a detailed argument. It's not like a whole page then. It's like what? One paragraph, 2 paragraphs. So in a way, it still is surface value, but there is some sort of tie-in nonetheless anyway. Let's have a read of the first one. Could I ask somebody to read to help me out a bit? I'll put our
Yeah,
faces to the
sure.
top. Yeah, go ahead. And I'll kind of dissect it as you go on. Well, I'll dissect it at the end because it's about 6, 7 lines.
So I'll read the first paragraph, correct?
So yeah, there's the first one until the end there. And
Cool.
yeah.
NGG Limited has a moral duty to protect all workers. Our workers come to work to earn a wage, not to be put at risk of falling ill, now or in the future, because of the work and activities that they carry out now. Some of the ill health conditions that could be contracted or injuries that could occur will have a major impact on the lives of the workers and their families and friends. Long-term injuries or ill health and also likely to have a major impact on our workers' mental health. The mental health of other workers could also be affected if they are witness to any serious injuries to other workers.
And I think that's it there. So thanks very much. That was excellent. So if I was to dissect that, I mean, you're just saying, is there somebody in the outside? No, I think that's us, right? Yeah, I mean, you're just saying what the overall responsibility of your company is. Some things that NEBOSH look for, just in case you want to take a note of it, they look for like the responsibility to you being like a moral duty of care, and like the right thing to do. They also look at here for the marks, they look to see if anything has happened to you, if you have mentioned family and friends, right? So I just put in that here because this is what they look for, family and friends. So once you have that, you're good enough to go, right? FRIENDS, look at here, family and friends. So you all affect mental health, you, and if something has happened to you, what's going to happen to your family and your well wishers, if you have any of those, right? So, but they look for family and friends. So you all should put family and friends, right? Don't leave it out. And that's it, that's the moral duty, right? So I can make up one on the spot, not as if I have to, but like I could still say, Bakewell has we could have to say has, we can probably say like we can start this off different. We can say, like the moral duty refers to the right thing to do. Bakewell has that sort of responsibility to its staff and customers in that workers are protected from fatigue and mental ill health during the course of their work, right? And we can talk about that. If workers are stressed, fatigue, frustrated at the end of the day, this may result in, depression, mental ill health, which may affect them, may affect their productivity. This is me saying it in my own words, and that may have a knockdown effect on their family and other friends. And that's it. So you just kind of say it in your own words and you should be good, right? Tell me if you're okay. I would either take off that arrow because there's something with legal I have to tell you, and I would want to write it. So like I will put family and friends then, right? Let me just kind of take that off and I'll put what they look there for legal. I'm taking off family and friends because I need the space a bit, right? So with legal, get back the marker. With legal, there are some things they're looking for. And you can pinpoint them. If you read this one, we'll read it in a bit. Trying to find the marker. Yeah. So we can pinpoint it here. So some things they look for in legal is this. They look for a couple of things. As I drawing this like this, I can put more than one thing in it then, right? So for legal, they look for the HSW Act, the Health and Safety at Work Act, 1974. They look for the sections, like Section 2, because remember that is the duty of the employer. So feel free to quote Section 22A, 22B. You can say the employer has a duty to provide training. 22C, the more you do this, the better, but don't overdo it, right? Like 2 to 3 is enough. 2 sections is enough, or whatever, right? But you need to mention the HSW Act. You could mention the fines. Remember, for breach of the act in the UK, the fine is, you know, £20,000, right? £20,000 minimum. You need to mention something called FIFA intervention. Look at here, FIFA intervention, right? FIFA intervention, if you review your notes, is like a charge the company have to pay the HSE for the time the inspectors are on their site, and that current charge is £174 per hour, right? I think it should be fine if you do this. There's something else though, which is what you have in the bottom paragraph here. You see, law was not just statute, but law was also civil. So you need to put in civil here as well. Like if somebody is injured, like they can sue the company then, that's a civil claim. And that will make up a good legal argument. Here you have it in 2 paragraphs. I'll just touch them for you and we'll see if we could get the gist of them. Just have to change the marker to get this thing to move again. Okay. So enforcement action costs includes fees for intervention, which are charged by the HSE. The current charge, remember, it went up this year, April, every year it goes up, is £174 now. Where material breach of legislation is identified, right? Like I could still put there, the employer has a duty under the HSW Act, Section 2, 2B, whichever section 2D to provide safe access and egress. And so you talk about that there's no need to put, you could talk about the fine. Fines can, range from a minimum of £20,000 and unlimited fine. There's no need to quote 1.6 million. That's just how this person did it. You stick to how you have it in the textbook. You can talk about the fine being £20,000, 6 months imprisonment, or an unlimited fine, right? For a breach of the HSW Act, right? The pardon civil claim is here. The organization could also find that civil claims some workers made ill by these work activities could be made. Some of these claims may be made some years after the worker has left NGG employment. The likely amount of compensation payable for civil claim can be substantial, right? Tell me what you think. You could just talk about that in your own words. You can say a worker injured could sue the company. Insurance would not cover civil claims. The amount payable in insurance would be a large amount, right? You can say substantial, but you can find another word, could be more than 500,000 pounds, you know? So I think that part is finished. We can come to financial. So for financial, if you're okay with legal, the HSW Act fines, fee for intervention, civil claims, etc. Now, I have a pending matter with NEBOSH with this here. Well, I don't know if so I shouldn't wash my dirty laundry in public, as they would say, right? But there's a matter I have with NEBOSH here that's pending right now. Something about legal. Should it be clarified, I'll let you all know. But I know I am correct, and um I know I'm correct. I'm just waiting for them to say that. Because if I'm not correct, then it means the last 15 years, NEBOSH doing the wrong thing, or I am doing the wrong thing for the last 15 years, which I am not, because so many people have passed, right? So there's a little matter with NEBOSH here pending where a student mentioned a law then, and the examiner failed the student for that. But the law is on the syllabus. Let me show you. And I showed them. I wrote to NEBOSH and I showed them. So I want to see what they want to say, right? But like I said, I'll leave it at that. But it makes it difficult for me now to tell you what I've always been saying because a matter came up that seemed to suggest that the syllabus was wrong. Because look at have it here, right? The legal argument must cover duties that would apply to all workplace situations, such as the duties under the HSW Act 1974, right? So all my students have been doing that. We've been following the syllabus, right? And straight enough, one person alone, they did that too. So I figure it's something with the examiner. But like I said, it's a pending matter. I would have loved to be reinforced there, but the matter is still pending with NEBOSH anyway as to what to do. For now and for the last decade, I will keep doing what we have been doing, which is follow the syllabus, right? I mean, if in doubt, do listen to me and don't listen to anybody, but follow the syllabus because the syllabus is the word then, is like the word, that guides everything anyway, right? But as an issue, I said I'll mention, so just in case you hear me come back and I tell you all something funny coming to the end of the project, just remember there is something pending there with NEBOSH, and should they give the guidance, I would of course inform you all, and if you all need additional time or whatever have you, I would extend that to you all, right? At the moment, though, we are following the guidance, and we have always been following the guidance, right? Resulted in hundreds. Today I check 100 people. Yeah, if it is a joke, yeah, 100 people for the year, no, not for the last 100 people for the year already, right? So I saw something funny. I tell you, where a student mentioned the law, or a couple of laws then from the syllabus, and the examiner failed them from mentioning the law, right? So just keep that to the back of your mind, folks. You all follow the syllabus. Should the matter be cleared up, I would of course, express to you all what NEBOSH would have said. And I said that's a kind of sticking point because it means you may need a week extra to kind of fix it. It's just one passage anyway. It's just gonna be one passage, right? But for now, do what is the right thing to do. Follow the syllabus. That's all I can say, right? And so just keep that to the back of your mind. I don't want to see when time to submit. You also to say, well, why you didn't tell us this? And, but you said so, and you said this, and you know how you always get, right? I just telling you that because I figure by the time this matter is settled, it may be a wrong time for you all to submit. Because you're submitting in September. September is just now. September is next week. Well, next week. Yeah, next week, Sunday is September, not this week, right? But you're submitting by the end of September, so I figured that thing was settled then. I'm just telling you all the disclaimer is that I do the writing, and the writing for me is guided by the syllabus, right? So should anything happen, I don't want you to come and say, but why you didn't tell us? And you told us this, and I just telling you my part of it, right? And I said that I didn't want to say that in public here, but I have to say it because if you all get catching it, you all in the class are going to get catching it. And I think it's only fair that we sort of let you know that that matter is kind of pending anyway, still anyway, right? All right. Financial, I was saying financial, and it's just going to be one paragraph, right? So folks, so don't worry about it. If you need a day to finish it off, if I tell you the deadline is Wednesday and they clear it up, I'll give you 2 days extra or something to write your one paragraph, right? For now, though, I would always say stick to the syllabus. The syllabus hasn't changed, right? So why should we? If the syllabus change, I would change. The syllabus had changed, I change it, right? All right. So financial, could I take off legal? And everybody understood that? Did you write it down that there may be a little disclaimer there where time to submit comes and soon as I know you would know in other words that, right? I'm gonna clear legal. Financial isn't hard. There's really no trick with financial or no pending matters. It's just something with legal, right? So taking this off. All right. So financial, if you remember financial a bit, right? From page 4 in the textbook. I think after this one I'll stop, right? I wouldn't really go on. It's about quarter past. Uh, anyway. Right. So where does the marker keep disappearing, Lord? Okay, good, got it, right? All right, so for financial, if you remember financial, right, there is a nice way to look at this. I don't know if you remember it from page 4, page 5. The way to look at financial, I think, is with the idea of direct and indirect costs. Because remember, that's what financial is in the syllabus, right? Direct and indirect costs. So you could say how they have it here, but to me, you could say it your own way too. You can say like in the event of an accident, in the event of an injury, there would be like a direct cost affecting the company. You could say some of it is insured as well as an indirect cost, and some of it will maybe uninsured. And you could take it from the book. You could say direct costs include the cost of medical bills, the cost to repair equipment, the cost of sickness absence. HR could cover that. They could count the number of days and so you could direct cost, if you remember, is the cost you could estimate. Lesson 1, I think, or lesson 2, right? Direct cost is the cost you can estimate. But then there are indirect costs, for example, like replacement of equipment that you didn't think about at first. You thought you could have serviced it, but it couldn't service. Indirect costs could be like lost reputation. The employee could have left you, and then you are left now without that skill. So you have to hire and train. So there's a lot of stuff you can say for financial. If you stick to the direct and indirect, don't overdo it. One good paragraph is good enough, or one and a half. Don't overdo it. Direct, you can talk a lot, but don't overdo it, right? Give about two, three direct, give about two, three indirect, and wrap it up, right? These things actually do have a word limit, but like if you stick to the pattern here, you wouldn't cross the word limit. But if you're writing a whole page on direct and no, that's like too much, right? If you go back up, you see the word limit in it right here, but you know how the marker. Let me read this out for you, and then I'll go back and we'll see the word count, right? So financial impact could be broken down into three categories: costs included with injured workers, sick pay, whatever, right? Replacement equipment, costs associated with enforcement actions. I could have just said at Bakewell, the if an accident was to occur, there could be a financial cost. And you saying it in your own words, right? These costs could include a direct cost, um, which may be insurable, or an indirect cost, which may be uninsurable. And you can say typical direct costs can include, and you can list out some, like I guess I just using the restaurant again, right? Cost of the worker sick pay that reporting sick. I suppose with a bakery, you may be able to calculate loss of sales if there's just one person, right? But then there may be further knockdown costs then, like things like me, people going away thinking that there's only one worker working. So lost reputation, right? Loss of customers. If the Ministry of Labor may have visited, it may resulted in a fine from the Ministry of Labor across there, which is not too far from there, right? So you have the knockdown cost, you have it in your books, you have it on the slide, you can write a really decent passage here for financial, and that should be good enough for tonight. Um, as I kind of wrap up here, right? I mean, we have a couple minutes again. What I'd advise you to do, I won't stop the recording. I wanted to keep on going. I'd advise you to start on the template. Like don't wait, right? Like you may think you have a lot of time, but you don't. By the way, that's a good thing. I've said that to you all. Like folks, I mean, I don't just talk, I'm a person of action, right? Some teachers don't, they can't do nothing else but teach. I am different. I started working first and then I started teaching, right? So, like, look right on my table here, just not showing it, huh? I don't feel to show you it. But I told you, I have a contract in my hand here for a company in Guyana to do training with that, right? And, and like the point, I should show you the back of the phone. I show you the back of it, right? So, like, the point of this story is, look, I have students inside here that wasn't working there before. Up to November last year, that they were not working there. Up to this year, they wasn't working there. But I have students working there now, right? You all have a golden opportunity in Guyana where when you get this certificate, you could work, like they're taking you one time. It's like they're grabbing you all up, right? Trinidad, we still have it, yeah. I mean, and of course, Trinidad does pay a bit better than Guyana, but you know, a funny thing happened to me. I don't know if I told you this story, right? I was at a hotel in Guyana when I was there in July, Bransville, right? Bransville is on Coral Street. I don't know if I told you this story. And I'm standing on the balcony one morning. I was just didn't have nothing to do, right? And there were buses passing, like those kind of vans that they all call them. And people started to call me out. People started to say, Mr. Shadrach. And eventually after the second person, I said, but this is craziness. Because I am just standing here and people calling me out, right? You know, it happened in the airport. Somebody came up to me. Did I know them? I didn't remember them, but when they told me their name, when I went at Exxon, from way into Exxon compound, people were seeing me and waving, right? So what's the point of this story? The point is that you all are getting employment. You see, those students were not working. I can tell you that. I know them. I know what they was doing. They wasn't working. But now they're working, right? So when I say start, let me come back to that. When I say start, I don't mean start for me. I mean start for you. This is your future, right? This is a better job for you. Because you all getting the work. It's not as if you're not getting the work. Forget who tried to put you down. It have some people just put it down and say no experience, no experience. But so how did Nikisha get into X, Y, and Z company? How did Amanda get it into Exxon? Right? How did Ishwar get onto his company? Right? How do these people get in? So you all are being given that preference where you have the NEBOSH, you are being employed, right? The experience will come. Anybody who know me, they know me say that. The experience will come. How did I go to the Ministry of Labor and meet students there? I didn't even know they were working there. Right? When I went, people passing and shaking my hand as if I am the minister, right? I students of mine, so 4 months in class, the rest of your life on the work field, right? Or wherever you want to go. You want to head Canada, you want to head England. As what I told you some stories when I come Trinidad, the industrial estates are pretty safe in Trinidad. I don't know that. I mean, North Trinidad, just like Jamaica, there's a part of Trinidad that is kind of crime ridden, but the industrial estates, which is like what you all have or you all are having, right? It's very much built up and very much safe, right? So your NEBOSH would allow you that. Your NEBOSH would allow you to work in Trinidad, Guyana, England. Remember, this is the real NEBOSH, right? I've told you all that. There's a version of NEBOSH that if you have it, you really can't get work in England with it. You cannot. But we didn't offer that. We offer you the same opportunity as somebody in England, right? And I said, of course, I've mentioned some stories there to you also. The long and short of this is get started for you because I want you to pass, right? If you don't want to pass, I want you to pass. I want to say, look, in the next class, look, I have Nikita or anybody who is looking for work. I know some of you all working already, right? We'll have Cassie. And I can say, look, you know where Cassie is now, right? And we tell the story of that person to encourage the other set of students because the people who are called now, Nikisa was a teacher. She's not a teacher anymore. She's working for a company now. Amanda wasn't working. And not, I think Amanda with Exxon. No, a contractor with Exxon, right? So what I'm saying is that your time is limited. And I'm glad for that. You all are glad for that? You're glad your exam is October to get this thing in your hand and move on with your life, right? So use that. When you see you're telling yourself, should I start it now? I'm feeling sleepy. Start it. Start it right now. Start typing out these lines and I'm here. Don't wait. Like if somebody tell me, remember back in my day, for those who know, they didn't have NEBOSH. I who brought NEBOSH and made it, well, I didn't bring it to Trinidad, I brought it to Guyana, right? But there are some NEBOSH courses I brought to the Caribbean, like the process safety, environmental, oil and gas. I brought it here, right? So if somebody had told me if I do this, I was guaranteed a job worldwide, I would have just dropped my first degree. I would have dropped my, well, we have a university in Trinidad called Costa. It isn't worth anything because you all don't know about it and you all are right in Guyana there, right? So folks, put your best foot forward. What I will do in my last couple of minutes here, I'm encouraging you all to start. Don't wait, right? See this as a ticket to a better job. See this as a ticket to a better life, which is what it is, right? And if you see it like that, then you will be motivated to turn off the phone and start to type. You'll be motivated. In fact, put some quiet music on. I have music playing right now that you all don't know. I normally put like quiet music, like frequency music. I'm not too sure if you all are into that anyway, right? But quiet music. I think actually what I have running is some slows right now. Yeah. Lionel Richie actually singing right. Michael Bolton. But it's so slow, right? But put some quiet music on and start your work, right? Wake an extra hour in the night. Not tonight, because you had a long class tonight. Tomorrow, wake an extra hour and do it. Stop wasting time. And you know why to stop wasting time? You know what? I don't know if you know why to stop wasting time. Anybody could say why to stop wasting time? You'd be surprised to know the answer. Why to stop wasting time, folks? Anybody could answer that question. Why do you need to stop wasting time?
General or with this, Ari?
There's another answer. Why to stop wasting time? You know why to stop wasting time? Because somebody is waiting on you. Somebody is waiting on you. Yeah, company waiting on you to get a certificate. Somebody waiting on you. You all don't know that. How we talk about this guy? What is his name again? The man from Gisby that get the work. What is his name again? The man got safety manager working in England. Somebody waiting on you. Somebody out there in a couple of months waiting on you. But if you here and you're putting in your work and you fail the exam, you're gonna come and repeat. Why should you fail? Right? Right? So part of this is motivation, but part of it is doing the work as well. Right, folks? Get it done. Sanity, we'll check it for you. As much as we could remember, we are limited to what NEBOSH allows us to do. And we wish that this class is such a nice class. I would love to say, as in 2022, I have 100%. I had 200% passes in Guyana in 2022, I think this year, I tell you, I had 94%, right? 94%? 94%, right? But such a nice small class. We should say, we should all remember. Years from now, we should remember I should remember, Miss Barbara should remember. We should say, look, it had a nice class in Guyana, had 8 students in it, and everybody passed. That's the story we should tell about you. And we should say, look, Cassie is here, Nikita is here, but Dylan will probably get a promotion. Tanisha is here. Who again? Right? We can say who is here. And you all know we do that with our first NEBOSH class. The first NEBOSH class we had was 2020. We could tell you, Miss Barbara and I could tell you who is at, well, I don't know all the companies, but she could tell you who is at which company. Tana, the first student to pass, she could tell you, I don't know the company offhand. Ishwar, well, she could tell you the company offhand, right? So that's the story we need to tell about you all, right? And we want you all to pass. So, but I can't pass for you. All I can do is teach and motivate. You had to get the work done. Get it done. Right? So that's the end of the day. Get it done. I'm gonna mark the roll now.